Welcome to Great American Collectibles Show, brought to you each week by the National Sports Collectors Convention. Join us every Wednesday evening at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and get the latest news from the greatest experts in the sports collectibles world. You can watch us on the Great American Collectibles Facebook page, as well as YouTube, or you can listen to us on Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, or any of your favorite podcast platforms. And now your hosts, award-winning sports collectibles author Tom Zappola and Boston sports media personality John Mallory.
JM, my man, how are you, brother?
What's up, buddy?
JM, are you recovered from Aruba?
Not quite yet, actually.
Really?
I'm having a lot of withdrawal pains. I wish I was back there.
So you did not pop the question, though, right?
I did. I said, honey, would you mind getting me another drink? I did. That was the question. That was it.
You're absolutely JM. Listen to me. We go back a long way, and I love you like I love you like a brother.
Yeah.
Don't blow this one.
It hasn't even been a year, guy. Hasn't even been a year. We're good. We're like
Ellen and I were only together for 2 years before we.
Yeah. Okay. 2. Yeah. So yeah. No, she's fantastic. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean,
it's all good.
When Ellen and I got married, I don't know if you noticed, but my ex-wife was the maid of honor. Did I tell you that? Just kidding.
That's so weird. That's so strange.
Welcome to the Great American Collectibles Show. Tom Zappa, my good friend and partner, JM Johnny Mallory. Johnny's up in Massachusetts. I'm down in Florida, and we have two great guests today. First, our old friend, who looks like he's 112. From Heritage Auctions.
Oh, thank you.
Derek Grady. Derek,
looking at you guys, I know. Well, you hit the tanning booths. I get it. You do the massage parlor with Justin Tucker, and then you do the tanning booths, and that's fine. I don't go that route. But,
I love it.
But I could use some sun. But this is what happens.
Yeah, look at me, dude. I mean, this is horrible. Yeah.
First of all,
we're too white.
Being Sicilian, I don't even have to do anything. I just walk out for 10
I don't know if I
minutes,
believe you or not.
and I'm tanned. 10 minutes. All right. And our other guest, I am thrilled. This is a guy, we go back pretty far with this gentleman, Kevin Keating. I consider Kevin the number one autograph guy in the country. Kevin Keating from PSA. Kevin, welcome, brother.
Thanks, Tom. You humbled me with that introduction. Thank you.
Kev, seriously, man, you've done a lot of great things for PSA and for the hobby. You've written some great books. We're going to talk about all of that. Kevin, where are you? Are you in Virginia, Maryland? Where are you?
I'm in hiding in my undisclosed location at home. So you can think wherever you think I am, there I am.
Are you like in a 1980s library with a card catalog behind you?
He is. Kevin's
No, actually, I've got some of the books that I've written right by my side.
That's what we want.
I do want to say this though. The last time I made any kind of significant public appearance, some guy named Derek Grady followed me there, and I had to speak after Derek, and it was painful, having to follow him and try to entertain the crowd. You were in New York City too to make it. Do you remember that, Derek?
I do. Was that that Brigandy get together?
Yes, it was.
You and I did some stuff on stage, and after but you kind of came on, right? Then we have some back.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody remembers that. They only remember you.
I don't know about that. You're just low key. You're low profile.
You know something. I got to read. I've got to read this, Kevin, because it's like, are you freaking kidding me? You graduated. You went to West Point, and you finished first in your class in Chinese language. Then you went to Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies. Okay. Then you lived in Japan. You speak fluent Japanese. I went to Austin Prep in Reading, Mass, and graduated 144 in my class. I mean, like, this is like off the charts.
And you know what the funny thing is? All that prepared him to be one of two guests on the Great American Collectibles Show.
That's what I was just going to say.
In the middle of winter.
That's what I was going to say. What did any of that stuff get me? You know what I'm saying?
No, he's got a crazy resume, but yes,
No, it's a great. It
you
really
didn't
is.
need
Unbelievable.
that for autographs.
And we want,
that's
and I
the
want to
funny
talk
part.
more about that resume as the show goes on. So,
All right, so let's get off. Listen, and the reason I asked you guys both to come on is because Derek, I know you're an executive vice president for Heritage Auctions, but you're also really legitimate, and we bust your chops, but you really are one of the most advanced card graders in the country. You did it for how long did you do that for, Derek?
A couple tours of duty there. One was, I think, 5 years, close to 5 years, and then I went back for another 3. But at some point, to be candid, you train graders. Once you make it to the top and you're the head grader, there's not a lot of advancement past that. And it's an important job, don't get me wrong. But, SGC, to be fair, I didn't have a Joe Orlando. I think we had the best graders. I think we did an incredible job. We care. We're collectors. We care, and try and do the best job possible. But you need a Joe Orlando to take it to the next level, and we never had that as a president of the company at that time. And now you saw what happened. 10 years after and then I advanced through Heritage, and it gives me the ability to grade. Obviously process sets, bring in cards, answer questions, but there's a lot of grading involved. But I also get to go take in, Brooks Robinson's collection and Gary Carter's collection and incredible game worn jerseys, bats. And obviously, I'm always going to be a card expert, and that's going to be what I take in the most of. But I get to do it all at Heritage. And whereas at SGC, once you're the head grader, you're either reviewing other people's work or you're it's just invoice after invoice after invoice after invoice of cards under the light, and you're sitting there hunched under a light looking at cards, trying to find alterations, trying to find what card doctors are doing, or counterfeits are fairly easy, but it's not like Kevin where Kevin has to. I mean, there's the science of the signature and how some of the forgers can sign the names better than the player themselves. With cards, it's a little bit easier. I think even when I was going through surgery or chemo and you showed me a 52 Mantle that's fake or a Wagner that's fake, I could tell you from across the room still.
Yeah, but I
Right.
mean, you have obviously we're going to bring Kevin in about 2 seconds. We're going to chat with him about what he does, but you really have an advantage. Just thinking about that, working for Heritage, because all your competitors, I mean, they can't look at a card. A consignor brings in a card. They can't look at a card like you can look at a card, right? So
Well,
you really,
they would argue with you, and they'll be annoyed when once they see this, and they'll be like, you'll hear these guys complain a little bit that, and I'm not going to name names, but there are certain guys that own auction companies that could be on my grading team. I'm sure maybe they have some stuff to learn, but there's some, Brian Drent can
Brian's good.
grade cards. Brian Dwyer can grade cards. He worked at SGC with me, and if he wanted to be a grader, he could have been a grader. If he wanted to be, stay around at SGC and be president, he could have done that. He's going to be successful whatever he's doing. Obviously, he sees runs REA, so he knows cards. And there's other guys that know cards. There's no, most auction company owners do know cards to some degree, but as a professional grader, I need to know them. To be a director of grading, you need to know them from 19th century to present. Okay. And that includes all 4 sports and non-sports. There's a lot of homework when you go home. It's not just show up and throw grades. I can train a monkey to grade modern cards where it's like, hey, they come out of the packs, they're 9s or 10s based on center, and you look for a back crease. There's a lot that goes into it. But that being said, I'm happy that I did that and that experience. And I do believe in out of the auction houses, we have the best grading team. We're best suited to handle raw collections.
Kevin, let's talk about what you do for PSA. Now, right out of the gate, how did you get involved in signatures and autographs? How did you get started in that part of the hobby?
I'll try to answer that briefly. So all I ever wanted to be was a baseball player. And when I was 10, my dad came home with an autographed baseball, Willie Mays and about 12 other San Francisco Giants. He worked in Chicago in the Loop, and across the street from his building was the Executive House Hotel. And he was walking by there one afternoon or one morning, I guess, and saw some people get an autograph of somebody as they left. And he inquired what was going on. And they said, well, we're here to get autographs of the Giants. So he ran down the street, found a baseball store that sold a baseball, got it, went back, stood in front of the hotel for a while and got the autographs, including Mays. He happened to get Mays. And so, as a result of that kind of, random incident, I started going to the hotel, under my father's wing, as it started out. And also I learned how to collect autographs through the mail. And back then everybody answered, like nobody didn't answer their mail.
Right.
The question wasn't whether or not they'd answer, it'd be whether you had an accurate address to get to them, and then how many would they sign through the mail. Some guys would only sign one. Some guys would sign. I mean, I got 25 Brooks Robinsons in one pop, and that was I waited till the off season because I thought he wouldn't be as busy then. And I would, but he answered everything. And so by the time I got out of high school, between the hotel, the mail, and going to Wrigley Field, because that was where I would go for games. I only went to a few, White Sox Park. I had over 10,000 baseball autographs. And, I realized by the time I was a junior, I wasn't going to make the big leagues. That had become really self-evident. So I started to study hard and try to figure out where I was going to go to school. And I applied to the 5 service academies and all the ROTC programs. And, strangely enough, West Point accepted me, Army ROTC rejected me, Naval Academy rejected me, Navy ROTC accepted me, Air Force Academy accepted me, Air Force ROTC rejected me, and then I got appointments to the Merchant Marine Academy and the Coast Guard Academy. I wound up at West Point, did 6.5 years in the Army, fractured my neck. I was airborne Ranger qualified, was an infantry officer, commanded a company, did a lot of, fun things in the Army during the peacetime Army. And, when I got out, I started collecting again. And what I had known as an innocent hobby in the 70s had metamorphosized into a business by the time I got back into it. So for that 11.5 years after high school, I didn't touch anything in the hobby. I was too busy with West Point in the Army. And so, writing to players, I started writing to players again, and I get responses back like, send me $5 per item and I'll sign your stuff. And I was really offended at first. I didn't understand that, and
Right.
and then
Right.
so many
Because it was so pure when you were younger.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like you want money to sign your name for me? Come on, man. Like, but then
$5, right?
Really?
yeah, I remember a guy named Ray Dandridge, and I had never heard of Ray Dandridge, but he was in the Hall of Fame by that, as a great Negro League player, justifiably so. But I didn't know anything about Ray, and I wrote to him, and he wanted $2, and I was thinking, why would I send Ray Dandridge $2 when I never even heard of him before? So I had to make some mental and psychological adjustments to what had gone on. But somebody introduced me to the SCD, which was really a godsend because I started buying stuff out of there with the limited income that I could, put into the hobby. And I could buy people that had died before I started collecting and, add to my Hall of Fame collection. And then I realized quickly, I could start selling stuff there too, because the dealers I was dealing with, people like Ron Gordon and Richard Simon, and I thought, I know as much as these guys do. So I see they're buying, they put up buy ads. So I started putting buy ads. I'd buy collections up, I'd keep what I wanted, sell the rest. And that's kind of how I started getting into it. But the real turning point for me in terms of how it changed my life was I started writing to guys that I had had contact with as a kid. And I would throw out my bona fides, I wrote to you, here's a copy of a letter you sent me back in 1976. Since then I went to West Point, I was a captain in the Army, blah, blah, blah. I'll be in your area, during this time. Can I come over and meet you? And honest to God, everybody that I made that approach to, they all accepted my invitation. The only turn down I had was Al Kaline. He said, I'm sorry, I'll be out of town that week, but any other time, let me know. But I started to become good friends with a number of Hall of Famers, starting with Joe Sewell. I got to know Chuck Connors really well. Through Chuck Connors, I got to know Warren Spahn. I ended up, representing Warren for, the last 10 years of his life. Same thing with Whitey Ford. I got to know Whitey through Warren. and I represented Whitey as his baseball autograph, agent. And
When you say
Tom
represent,
Phenomenal.
like you booked them for shows and things like that, is that what you did, or what did you
I did a
represent?
variety of things, and I didn't get so much involved in the show bookings as advising them on a variety of different things, helping them sell their material, and just any kind of thing like that. And Whitey would always represent me as his autograph agent. Those were his words. And Warren, I did likewise. I did a lot of different things with Warren, and I set up signings. We did one thing. I was working for a pharmaceutical company right out of the army, and they knew about all the things I had going on with baseball. So when they introduced a new product in 1996, I think it was Texan. It was a combination calcium blocker, ACE inhibitor, whatever. And they said, "Hey, can you get some big time stars to do some combination autograph baseball?" So I did a 5,000 baseball deal, and Whitey and Yogi signed like 1,000 balls or 1,500. Don Larson and Yogi signed like 1,500, and then the rest were signed by Hank Aaron and Warren Spahn. And I did all that, and I got all the guys together and spent a couple. That was when I spent a couple of days one on one with Yogi, doing the signing, and that was unbelievable.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, spending a couple of days with Yogi and hearing him talk like he did, because everybody thinks he talked like that to be funny, but he didn't talk
It
like
was
that.
just
That's-
natural.
that-
Yeah.
I've
That
heard
was
that.
just how it was. Yeah.
That's how his brain.
That's what I
functions.
heard from other people, including James, by the way, who hung around with, who met him,
Yeah.
who didn't just know him from the legend, is that it wasn't an act. He didn't play it
No.
up. That was just Yogi. That's how Yogi was. That was his
So I'll
personality.
tell you a quick story about Yogi. We're at the Hall of Fame, and Yogi's golfing, and we're golfing with Steve Carlton, Greg Spahn, Warren's son, who is a really solid, like a scratch golfer, and Yogi. And it's a scramble tournament, so we're playing the best ball, and we're like, 12 into the 12th hole we played or something, and Yogi hadn't played his ball all day, and he was pissed. He wanted his ball played. So on a second shot, Yogi gets a hold of one, puts it right up on the green, and he's convinced we're going to play that ball. So we get up on the green, and Carlton had hit a good one too. And Carlton's was a better line. It was a competitive, golf tournament. And so the team decides to play Carlton's ball, and Yogi starts cussing. He's like, I don't want to say the words here, but he's using all the words I don't want to say. And he's like, such and such, so and so. All I know is if I was playing today by myself, I'd be hitting my own ball. And and everybody was just like,
right.
Did he just
So
say
good.
that? But that was
spit it
that
out.
was, yeah,
Awesome.
that's how he thought. Yeah.
We're chatting with Kevin Keating and Derek Grady. Derek, you mentioned something when you were talking about modern cards and grading. Okay, is the grading process of the whole entire grading process, is it going to slow down? Because why isn't every modern and ultra modern card graded a 10?
It's still the manufacturing. They don't and they get inserted into packs. So some can have a little ding, or the surface can have a scratch. You got to watch for the way these cards are put together too. You can find a back crease or a little wrinkle. You still have to flip cards, on their back. You look at them on the front, you shadow them kind of in the, let me grab
Derek, because I think you're
there's a
about to get
64
into what I was going to ask. Is there, maybe you're going to get into it right now, and Kevin, you too. Is there when I think about grading, I think our listeners and viewers would be interested in this. Is there a uniform set of standards? How much is arbitrary on the part of the grader?
Well,
How much
you'd
is
like to
following a set of
say-
instructions,
you'd like to say, well, PSA publishes their standards, and so does SGC, who, PSA bought. Basically, we competed against PSA forever when I was at SGC. And, recently SGC had a big, they were doing great too, as PSA is, they probably couldn't even open all the packages in a day. They were getting thousands of packages. Kevin was out there. He got to see just the amount of mail was not even believable unless you saw it. And I had visited PSA a couple times, and I saw that was before COVID. I can't even imagine the amount of packages. Well, SGC's now, under PSA. They've been accepted by part of the PSA now.
Yeah.
And and just a separate grading company, and they're buried in packages and crushing it as well. Now, both companies, to answer your question, they both publish standards. And again, you're going to find where people criticize is there's always going to be cards where graders, miss centering or missed maybe a corner or missed something. They're grading hundreds of cards a day. Okay.
Yeah.
There's thousands going out. Proofers can't catch everything, and so people will put up, or the standard, early on, the grading was a little bit looser. Okay. And then standards, for some reason, I don't know why this tends to be in society as a rule, but they get tighter and tighter. So nines today are even harder to get than they were 20 years ago, or
Right.
eights.
Right.
The standards have seemed to have gotten tighter. But there's published standards on both websites. I kind of always went into it when I was a kid. I took the Beckett, that small Beckett, and the big Beckett, and I'd price my cards out by, trying to read their condition composite, and understand that, like, I was grading when I was a kid and I didn't realize it. But I'd look at a card and dealers. I mean, I remember getting thrown out of a coin dealer's shop in downtown Johnstown, Pennsylvania, because I walked in. He was advertising his cards. Everything was near mint.
Yeah.
And I was in a show and I was looking, and I'm like, wait a second. That card is a crease. That can't be near mint. And this card has 4 hit corners. That can't be near mint. And he's like, who are you?
Oh,
And I'm like, I don't understand. You advertised in the paper near mint, and they're not near mint. And I get thrown out of his store, and that was unceremonious. But I mean, it probably wouldn't be the first time before Zap gets into it that I've been thrown out of places.
You're right.
But no, I was just I've always educated myself on card grading when I was a kid, and took it literally. Like, this is, here's the price for near mint, here's the price for X, here's the price for VG. And other people just look at it and say, if they have the card in any form, it's the near mint price.
Okay.
And they don't understand that.
All right. Listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Kevin's in the house, Derek's in the house. We're going to come back with the GAX AI baseball tournament results of last week's game between the 1942 St. Louis Cardinals and the 1939 New York Yankees.
It's a good time to grab a drink or some food and then come back to when Kevin and I are talking.
You're both killing me. You're both killing me. Hang in there. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Curry, a two-time child cancer survivor, recipient, and advocate for Lucy's Love Bus. The mission of Lucy's Love Bus, 501c3 nonprofit, is to provide joy, comfort, and quality of life for the entire family of children with cancer. Since 2006, they have delivered love and comfort to over 3,000 children with cancer and their family members across New England. The dream of Lucy Grogan, an 11-year-old cancer patient, was to help kids with cancer who are suffering right now, before there is a cure, by offering free integrative therapies like art, music, horseback riding, and many other activities. Unfortunately, Lucy passed away, but her dream lives on, and today Lucy's Love Bus is thriving.
I'm Red Sox Hall of Famer Rico Petroselli. I hope that you'll consider supporting Lucy's Love Bus and all of those children who have been stricken by cancer. The Great American Collectibles Show is partnering with Lucy's Love Bus to help these kids. Let's continue Lucy's dream. Please go to lucyslovebus.org for more information.
Since 1996, Brian Drent and the staff at Denver's Mile High Card Company have led the charge in the collectibles hobby. Mile High is a full-service dealer specializing in buying and selling cards and offers a competitive consignment program for all collectors. Whether it be their computerized want list service, appraisals, or auction services, Mile High has it all. If you've been searching for a company with a selection of high-grade vintage 1888 to 1970 baseball cards and memorabilia that shares your passion, aim high, Mile High. Go to milehighcardco.com or call 303-840-2784 for more information.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
This is Brian Drent, president of Mile High Card Company. Is your sports card and memorabilia collection properly insured? For easily replaced personal property, homeowners insurance is all most people need. But for prized possessions that you may have spent a lifetime collecting, it doesn't go nearly far enough. Collectables Insurance Services has been insuring for over 50 years. They offer a full range of protection and a $0 deductible at an affordable rate with no appraisals required. I know because they insure my collection. If you have a minute, go to collectinsure.com and learn more about insuring your personal card or memorabilia collection.
How would you like to own the bat that was used by your favorite player when he hit that towering home run or game-winning base hit? Now look no further than JT Sports, specializing in the sale and authentication of professional game-used bats. As the official authenticators of professional model game-used bats for PSA DNA, JT Sports will guarantee the authenticity of any bat purchased from them. JT Sports also buys and sells game-worn uniforms, gloves, and baseball equipment. The unique quality of the collectible is what JT Sports is all about. Give them a call at 609-487-8003 or check them out at GameUseBats.com.
Okay, we are back, and Kevin Keating from PSA and Derek Grady from Heritage Auctions, both in the house with us. But right now, and we're going to talk about, I know, Derek, you have the big platinum auction coming up. We're going to chat about that. Kevin, we got some stuff we're going to talk about. But right now, it's time for the greatest segment in the history of the Great American Collectibles Show. The Great American AI baseball tournament created by my son-in-law, AI Danny, the baseball savant. Now, last week's game, if you guys want real quickly, here are the pairings, Kevin. The Sweet 16 from 1 to 16. Number 1, 1927 Yankees. Number 2, the 1906 Chicago Cubs. Number 3, the Cincinnati Reds from 75, the Big Red Machine. Number 4, the 1998 Yankees. Number 5, the 2001 Seattle Mariners. Number 6, the 1939 Yankees. Number 7, the 1961 Yankees. Number 8, the 84 Detroit Tigers. Number 9, the 1919 Chicago Black Sox. Number 10, the 2004 Boston Red Sox. Number 11, the 42 Cards. Number 12, the 86 Mets. 13, the 95 Atlanta Braves. 14, the 70 Baltimore Orioles. Number 15, the 29 Philadelphia Athletics. And number 16, the 1955 Brooklyn Dodgers. Last week, the 1939 New York Yankees played the 1942 St. Louis Cardinals. And the starting pitchers were Red Ruffing for the Yankees. And yeah, I don't necessarily agree with this one. Max Lanier for the 42 Cardinals. And here are the results. First inning. I'm not going to go through every inning. I'm not going through every inning. Relax.
I got to bring a book to read.
Derek, the first time he did this with me on the show, I swear to God, I thought he was going to go through every single at bat for 9 innings.
Keep in mind,
I've been doing this since 1980. Listen, I've been doing this since 1987. It was the single most frightening moment I ever had on any program.
Kevin, can I have a little support here, please?
Hey, I love Max Lanier. Keep it going. Come on. Okay, I'm rooting for Max. I want Max Lanier.
Kevin has heard of all these names, by the way. Not only the names, he'll know their autograph. So
I met Max Lanier.
All right.
I owe Max Lanier, so I'm for Max Lanier.
All right. So I'm going to jump to the third inning. Musial singles. Slaughter doubles them in. and they take a 1-0 lead.
Okay.
In the bottom of the inning, Frankie Crissetti walks.
Oh.
DiMaggio homers to left. Yankees take the lead 2-1. Fourth inning, with 2 on, Musial lines a single that scores Marty Marion and Terry Moore, and the Cardinals jump out to a 3-2 lead. This is riveting. Fifth inning, Bill Dickey singles. George Selkirk doubles him in and ties it at 3-3. Eighth inning, Enos Slaughter singles, steals second and scores on a single by Walker Cooper. The Cardinals take a 4-3 lead. Are we excited here, boys?
This is actually pretty good.
Bottom of the eighth. No runs as Mort Cooper works around a walk. Yankees don't score. However, in the ninth inning, DiMaggio singles, moves to third on a Charlie Keller double. Dickey's sac fly ties the game at 4-4. We are now in extra innings.
All right.
10th inning, bottom of the 10th, with 2 outs. Joe DiMaggio doubles. Keller singles him in, and the Yankees win 5-4 in a walk-off. How can you not love that game?
You got to get Kevin. Kevin was shaking his head on that stuff.
Come on,
First of all, in the 42 World Series, DiMaggio was in that series against the Cardinals, and he didn't even hit a home run.
Well,
so right off the bat,
you.
something's flawed.
No,
Something's
it's a different.
flawed.
No, but it's a different team. This is the 39 Yankees,
Right.
not the 42 Yankees.
When did he start dating Marilyn Monroe? That's all I care about at this point. No, seriously, like when
I
what
don't
point?
know. It was after that, I believe.
I'll look it up.
But Kevin,
Okay,
this
thank you. I
is,
think it was
this
after
is
that,
not
too, but-
this is not the 42
interested.
Yankees. These are the
No,
39
I get that.
Yankees.
No, I get that, but I still have a problem with it because Max didn't win the game. So, but I liked your term riveting because I
Yeah,
was
definitely.
riveted. I
Yeah.
was riveted throughout. I think it's a great program to do this.
Well, next week, by the way, who plays next week, JM? Oh, next week we have
next week you have the
night-
Yankees, 61 Yankees against the
2004
2004 Red Sox.
It's going to be a great game. Going to be a great game. All right, let's get back to our guest because I digressed. I do admit I digressed a bit. All right.
Hey, wait a minute, Derek. They
Yeah.
met in 1952,
Okay.
and they married in 1954 in January, and they filed for divorce in October of 54.
Ooh, yeah.
But the rumor is, not a rumor, it's a fact. He brought a red rose to her grave like
Yeah.
every day from
He
the
never got
moment she
over it.
died. Never got over.
Well,
it.
what happened though? There's a backstory to that
Oh wow, here we go.
because what happened was
Did
he did it.
did red roughing have anything to do with it?
No, he did it to the last 6 months of his life. I mean, the last 6 months prior to him passing on. And for that point, from the 6 months to the time he passed, he dropped off a Mr. Coffee Maker at her grave. Every
Oh,
day.
Why do we let him on his own?
It's actually listen that that was actually
on.
mildly amusing. So
I mean,
I'm gonna give you a 3 on a scale of 10.
All
on
right.
that.
Kevin, question regarding autograph forgeries. There's a ton of them. How do you keep up with it? And can you kind of share with us some of the little nuances that can tip off an expert like you that it's a fake autograph?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, I have a great team working alongside me, some fantastic authenticators. And, to be a good authenticator, the first thing you really have to, you have to know that number one, autograph authentication is a merger of science and art. And sometimes the science plays more into it than the art does. Other times the art plays more into it than the science does. And anybody who does what we do at the level we do is going to make mistakes. If you're not willing to admit that you're not perfect at this merger of science and art at the level that we're at, then you're either lying or you're delusionary or both. We do millions of autographs a year by my estimation. And we do everything from the earliest stuff I've seen are 1300s. I just did, I did an auction the other day. It had stuff from the 1500s in it, all the way up to everything that's contemporary. And of course, every year there are new celebrities and people that merge onto the scene that we have to learn, right? And then within everybody's autographs, like you talk about any individual, they're going to have different styles. They're going to have their sit down style, the style that they use when they're getting paid to sign, the style that they use when they're on the run, all of that, so it's a constant never ending battle. And the other thing about PSA is, or any of the authentication companies for that matter, is that everything that you authenticate, when it goes out the door, with an opinion on it, good, bad, or inconclusive, because those are the three opinions you get. And no matter what your opinion is, anything that we do, we almost never can prove that we're right? Because we're rendering an opinion.
Right.
And so everybody, just like they say about, everybody's butt is different. Everybody's got one. Everybody's got an opinion. Everything we send out, somebody can dispute and say, PSA got that wrong, and we can't prove that they're right. They can't prove that we're wrong. But, that's the kind of pressure that we have on making every decision. So we take it quite seriously. And so, for instance, on Michael Jordan autographs, I don't authenticate almost any of the Michael Jordan autographs that come in. The reason is because I've got a couple of guys on my team that know Michael Jordan autographs better than I do. So I rely on them to, converge and collaborate to make sure that the opinion that we render on every Michael Jordan is accurate and consistent. So you have to know what your strengths are, lean into those. For the things that you don't know, you have to come to grips with that, and you have to have a clear understanding where your expertise isn't and where there are people that know more than you do, and then lean on them and solicit information from them and feedback from them. And since I've been on the show, actually, I've been getting texts from people. I sent some stuff out this morning I wanted a second opinion on. I've gotten some feedback on. So it's a 24/7, 365 days a year. We're essentially doctors on call in the sense that, wherever I am, whatever I'm looking at, I guarantee you there's 10 more things piling up for me to see from other parts of the country and other workflows that are converging on my time.
Kevin, I just want to ask, because there's an interesting little note here in your bio that Zap sent me, Kevin, that you credit a lot of your aptitude for autograph authentication to your studies and exposure to Japanese and Chinese language. Can you explain how that helps?
Yeah, because first of all, let me explain it this way. I've known a lot of dealers, and I'm sure Derek can attest to this too, even in the card world and his exposure to autographs throughout, his decades of experience in the hobby, which is that there are a lot of dealers out there that are honest dealers, right? They don't do anything malicious, and they have decades of experience in autographs, and yet you can go to their table and you'll see fake autographs on their table, and the question is, well, why is it there? Is it there because they know or suspect that it's fake and they just want to sell it and get out from under it? Or do they think it's good? And I've known guys that I absolutely, trust them, implicitly that they would never sell a bad autograph on purpose. But my point is that exposure to autographs is really important. Like you can't know autographs or know how to authenticate any particular autograph if you don't have exposure to it. And so, that's half of the battle, though. The other half is the ability to retain information, right? Like, so I've been blessed with an extremely great, memory, my ability to look at things. And I don't have a verbal memory as well as, my strength in memory is sight. Things that I see, I remember versus things that I hear. So, and God gifted me with that. So, just because you're exposed to autographs doesn't mean you'll be a good autograph authenticator. You have to have the other component as well, which is the ability to look at things and memorize them. And so learning Japanese language and going to an all Japanese school in second and third grade, obviously I had to, learn how to memorize those characters. And then later when I went to West Point, I had to take one of 6 languages, and they didn't have Japanese, or I'd taken that. So I took Chinese. And of course, kanji characters from Japanese writing. Japanese is katakana, hiragana, or kanji. The kanji writing in Japan those are Chinese characters. So I took Chinese. I did very well because I'd had that background in Japanese, and I continued to develop that part of my brain that looks at shapes and things like that. And of course, throughout high school, I was doing that, getting 10,000 autographs. I was also doing that, as I would write through the autographs. So all of that, I think, implanted in my brain and expanded that part of my brain and helped develop that part of my brain. So it all worked together to, to give me an ability. And, I tell people that when I look at an autograph, even if it's an autograph I've never seen before, I might still be able to tell you, whether it's bad.
Right.
Because my brain is as soon as my eyes hit it, my brain's imposing layers and layers and layers of information subconsciously
From your
onto
background,
the,
from your exposure to all these different things. Right. Got it. Yeah.
Right. So then if I look at an autograph, let's say, and I can tell that it's in fountain pen on a piece of paper, my brain says, okay, this is supposed to be an old autograph. I don't know who it is. I've never seen it before. It's somebody named John Stankovic, but I've never heard of the guy. But it's supposed to be an old autograph. But that ink on that paper wasn't applied 50 years ago. I can tell by the feathering of the ink, so immediately my brain's telling me, I don't care if I know the autograph or not, that's a fake autograph.
Right.
But then what I do is I then look at, then I look the guy's name up and see, okay, who is this guy? When was he alive? Okay, he's been dead for 30 years and this ink didn't age 30 years on the paper. This is new fountain pen ink applied to old paper. It didn't
Right.
age properly. It's fake and I spit it out.
Interesting.
So, yeah. So, I mean, it just depends on what you're looking at, but your brain's telling you, applying a variety of different layers of information. And then you come to a place instinctively as soon as you see it. Good, bad, I don't know. The I don't knows are where you then have to research. The good, when I get good, unless it's an obvious thing, if it's a good on a Babe Ruth, I'm not gonna just put it aside. I'm gonna loop it. I'm gonna look for things just to play devil's advocate and try to disprove my original position. And
Yep.
I do the opposite too. If I think that something's bad, but it's a significant item, I'll try to disprove that finding. Because in the end, I don't want to go on a knee-jerk reaction on something, right?
You're
So, I don't know-
you're almost debating yourself and challenging your own knowledge.
Right.
Correct. And
Yeah.
and that makes, in my mind, that makes you better at what you do.
Yeah, I agree.
It makes you less likely to make an instinctive mistake that could be prevented.
Got it.
And also it provides a lot more consistency in the outflow of material that's going out of PSA.
And my
Derek-
brain works the same. I know you're going to ask me about my brain. And
Well,
how
no,
think
I was
the
going to
same.
ask you, Derek.
So
No, I'll kid you.
my-
Go ahead.
when I was a child and I was doing Beethoven's Fifth Symphony and stuff as a kid, and I studied Mandarin Chinese. When I was doing that, my brain, Kevin said it perfectly. Like he got rejected by some military academies. I didn't. The military academy, including the British RAF, they wanted me, and but I chose card grading. But my brain works the same way as Kevin. He said it perfectly.
If
well.
I can just before we go to break, I was watching Schroeder play the piano on the Charlie Brown show and eating an egg roll from a takeout Chinese place.
Peanuts.
So,
Hey,
peanuts,
Derek,
right.
We have a
before we
Charlie
take
Brown
a
that works
break,
with us.
before we take a break, we'll get a couple of minutes. Derek,
You wanted me to play this Fifth Symphony of Beethoven?
no, I want you to tell us about your platinum auction.
Oh, yeah, no, that's important. Yeah, so this weekend we have coming up, we have our.
What do you mean that's important? It's like one of the biggest auctions of the
I know. That's why I said it is important. It truly is. And we have some incredible PSA graded cards in there, some incredible autographs that, Kevin, obviously his team's authenticated, game used bats. I mean, we have a, Ruth rookie in a 7. We have a Roger Maris 1961 all original jersey photo matched. Just a really killer auction, a 66 unopened wax box.
Hold on. The 61 Maris,
uniform.
that's the whole uniform or just a jersey?
I would have to double check on that, but it's definitely obviously the jersey, but it's from his historic season. It's photo match. So it's
that's
probably,
that's $1 million
yeah,
piece.
that's our estimate. And it's an incredible Maris jersey. And we have a Mantle jersey. Now we have a lot of jerseys.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Curry, a two-time child cancer survivor, recipient
and modern card. Was that a commercial trying to interrupt me, or was that
No,
God
that was
telling me to shut up?
no, that was Chrissy drinking again.
Okay,
That's okay.
that happens. We got to get her back on the program. But no, we have a lot of modern cards, and just a lot of Mahomes jersey, a Brady jersey, basketball jersey. We have the best Paul Hornung jersey from his rookie year. Really some great stuff, and it's your typical heritage, platinum night sale. Other than the Mona Lisa Platinum Night sales that we did at the National, where we have the called shot jersey, and we have just, a $63 million auction, which is the world record. This is a incredible auction, with $20
It's a
million
very, I
plus.
was online. It's a very deep auction. It's
It
very,
really
like,
is.
like you can go a few pages in on the site and you're still seeing very high quality stuff.
Ton,
So, yeah.
uncut sheets,
Yeah.
rare,
You got
rare
some
stuff
cool
where
stuff.
it's
Very
really,
good.
some really awesome stuff in there.
All right, listen, we're
just
going to
want-
take a quick break. We're going to, Kevin, go ahead, real quick.
I just want to say we love going to Heritage because we love looking at their stuff. They get such
Unbelievable.
incredible stuff. It's like going and visiting a museum
Absolutely
every time
agree.
you're there.
All right, listen, we're going to take a quick break. Kevin Keating's in the house. Derek Grady's in the house. Tom Zapp's in the house. And John Mallory. We're going to take a quick break. Hand there. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Curry, a two-time child cancer survivor, recipient, and advocate for Lucy's Love Bus. The mission of Lucy's Love Bus, 501c3 nonprofit, is to provide joy, comfort, and quality of life for the entire family of children with cancer. Since 2006, they have delivered love and comfort to over 3,000 children with cancer and their family members across New England. The dream of Lucy Grogan, an 11-year-old cancer patient, was to help kids with cancer who are suffering right now, before there is a cure, by offering free integrative therapies like art, music, horseback riding, and many other activities. Unfortunately, Lucy passed away, but her dream lives on, and today Lucy's Love Bus is thriving.
I'm Red Sox Hall of Famer Rico Petroselli. I hope that you'll consider supporting Lucy's Love Bus and all of those children who have been stricken by cancer. The Great American Collectibles Show is partnering with Lucy's Love Bus to help these kids. Let's continue Lucy's dream. Please go to lucyslovebus.org for more information.
Pristine Auction is a family-owned and operated online auction specializing in autographed memorabilia, sports cards, coins, art, and collectibles. Since their founding in 2010, they've grown to 2 facilities in Phoenix, Arizona, totaling over 60,000 square feet. Jared Cavalier and an incredible staff of over 150 team members serve a very large customer base and enjoy every minute of it. By working with leading authentication companies, Pristine ensures all items are 100% authentic. In addition, third-party authenticators regularly travel to Pristine Auction to provide authentication services on site. Pristine Auction strives to operate its business in a way that's honoring to God, their families, and their customers. With a strong focus on speed, quality, and premier customer service, their mission is to be the leading online auction for every level of collector and fan. Pristine also works for Hope Sports and Identity Hoops International, traveling to Mexico to build houses for the less fortunate. Pristine Auction offers several online auction formats with thousands of auctions ending each day. For more information, go to pristineauction.com. That's Pristine Auction, the best in the business.
If you are a discerning collector interested in owning the most important pieces in the hobby, look no further than Leland's Auctions. The original sports auction and appraisal house, Leland's was established in 1985 by legendary Pioneer founder Joshua Leland Evans, and today, President Mike Hefner carries on the tradition. From the Tom Brady card and memorabilia collection to the famed Boston Garden auction to high-end card auctions from every major sport, Leland's has always maintained the highest standards. Go to Lelands.com and get your bid in. That's Leland's, the hobby's leading sports auction house for 4 decades.
It's often been said that championships are won on the practice field, and world records come only to those willing to work harder than everybody else. Heritage Auctions is the world's largest collectibles auctioneer because we believe that becoming the best is only an invitation to the challenge of remaining the best. This requires the skills of the hobby's top experts, capable of identifying and maximizing value for our consigners. It requires the most visited website in the industry, courting a global audience of collectors over 1.5 million strong. It requires a dedicated press department that expands our global reach far beyond the entrenched hobby marketplace. It's hard work, but a simple premise. Present the finest collectibles to the largest population of potential buyers, and world records will come. We invite all listeners to put the unmatched power of Heritage Auctions to work for you. Auction evaluations are always free, and our commission-based fee structure ensures that our interests are always aligned. The highest possible price for your collectibles. There will always be new world records to chase, so let's chase them together. Visit our website at ha.com and request your no obligation review today.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
Okay, we are back, and Derek is in the house, Kevin's in the house, JM is in the house. In a minute, we're going to talk to Kevin, I want to talk about your books. Programming note, Saturday, March 8th, Rico and I are going to be up at the Villages at the Wildwood Community Center. We are going to be appearing with Michael Osaki from PSA. He's the lead appraiser for PSA and PSA DNA. Michael's going to be doing some appraising up there, a little talk on appraising, along with Tom Ruggie, national speaker and author on sports collectibles. We're going to have kind of like a panel discussion, and then Rico and I, we do a little back and forth. Rico tells some hilarious stories about his days as a Red Sox player. Talks about the 67 Red Sox. We do a Q&A. Rico's going to do a signing. Again, it's sponsored by the Village Sports Card and Collectibles Club and Red Sox Nation at the Villages, which, by the way, 1,000 members, JM, 1,000 members of Red Sox Nation up there. So that's March 8th, 1 to 3 at the Wildwood Community Center. Hope you guys can join us if you're down in Florida. JM, why don't you tell us about our good friends at the Philly Show?
I will, sir. East Coast Sports Marketing and Hunt Auctions are pleased to present the Philadelphia Sports Collectors Show, the Philly Show, from Friday, March 7th through Sunday, March 9th, held at the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center, Hall B, 100 Station Ave in Oaks, PA. Shop over 300 of your favorite hobby dealer booths on over 100,000 square feet of sports collectibles heaven from the 1800s to present day. Major sports auction houses and third-party grading and authentication companies are on hand to assist your collecting needs. Remember, the Philly Show is family-friendly, and all kids 12 and under get in free. Autographed guests to include Wilbert Montgomery, Nick Foles, Steve Garvey, Hall of Famers Wade Boggs, Mike Schmidt, and Steve Carlton, and many, many more. For information, go to phillyshow.com. Remember, since 1975, the Philly Show is where it all started. Hey, Zap, before you get to Kevin and Derek, you mentioned Rico, and the Red Sox just got Alex Bregman. And I read a great thing on Facebook from Freddie Lynn, the great center fielder, borderline Hall of Fame player, Rookie of the Year MVP in 75, a teammate of Rico's. And he said, which I haven't heard anyone else say, he said that Bregman's stance and swing reminds him very much of Rico Petrocelli, and he feels like he's going to be very successful at
Well,
Fenway Park.
somebody brought that to my attention. I guess that part of the interview also was defensively. I guess Lynn said something to the effect, next to Rico. I mean, if he compared Rico defensively with Bregman as a third baseman also, which is great.
Yeah.
Hey, Kevin, I've read your books. They're phenomenal. Why don't you tell us a little, since you happen to have them like right on your desk there, why don't you mention them?
Oh, thanks. Well, the one thing I've enjoyed as an autograph collector, among other things, is getting together with other collectors and just swapping stories, right? I mean, because collecting autographs is a very unique thing. Even if you don't get the autograph yourself and you buy it from somebody or it's handed to you or given to you from a third party, when you own an autograph, you own a physical connection to that person. So if you own a George Washington or an Abe Lincoln, you know, you didn't get it yourself, obviously, but you're actually owning, you know, a moment of that person's life, you know, and it's a physical connection to that person. So autographs to me are very unique and very special. And of course, having grown up getting autographs and living my life vicariously through meeting baseball players instead of becoming one, I've had a lot of stories because I've had a lot of wonderful interactions with players over the years, to the point of, you know, becoming very dear friends with Warren Spahn and Whitey Ford and Chuck Connors and a variety of other people. And there's other people, other players that I've met or interacted with in some way, shape, or form that shaped my life, literally shaped my life in very, you know, unique ways. So people kept telling me, you got to write a book, you got to put these stories down for other people. And that's what I did. It took me essentially 30 years of, you know, from the time I wrote my first chapter to the time that I published, you know, volume 1 of Waiting for a Sign. You know, and volume 2 came out a couple of years later, but sum total like 38 chapters. Everybody from Clint Hurdle to Jerry DiPoto to, you know, you talk about the '04 Red Sox, you know, we had a really good friend on that team, my wife and I, Mike Myers, the left-handed relief pitcher. There's a chapter in there about Mike and Alan Embry. I'll tell you a quick story about that. You know, the Orioles were playing the Red Sox. It was the last weekend of the regular season, and they were in town, and they came into Baltimore and had an off day before the series started. So Mike contacted me. He said, hey, Alan and I would like to go, you know, go to the FBI. Can you set something up? And we were living in Northern Virginia at the time, and I had a lot of connections in the government. So we went down to Quantico and, you know, did a lot of different cool things, including shooting weapons and different things like that. And then we were going to go back to my house in Old Town Alexandria and meet my wife for dinner. So we got back to the house. We had about an hour, and Alan really wanted to see my collection, but you know, you couldn't see my collection in the space of an hour. So I said, you know, you have a favorite player? He said Koufax. I said, okay. So I got it. I got my Koufax stuff out. I showed him, and he was rifling through it. He goes, man, I love that photo. And it was a 8x10 black and white. I'd gotten from Whitey Ford actually, and it was of Koufax pitching in the World Series signed. So I handed it to him. I said, here, keep it. And he's like, no, I can't take that. I said, no, I said, take it, really. I want you to have it. He goes, no, I got to pay you. I said, I'll tell you what, at the end of the season, why don't you send me something that you wore? I want a game used item from you. You know, anything, just send it to me. Anyway, of course, we all know what happened. And at the end of the year, he sent me his cap, which he wore every day of the year. It's
Nice.
within arm's
Very
reach
cool.
of me. And he wrote, you know, we reversed the curse, Alan Embry. And that thing is grimy. It's got the World Series logo patch on the side of
Yeah,
it.
that's what you want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I asked, I said, well, I said, so was this the cap that you wore the whole year? Because he said, yeah, he said, we had the option of getting a new cap for the series or the playoffs with the, you know, the thing on the side, or we could use the, you know, they would put the logo thing on the
Right.
one that we wanted. And that's what he did. So he wore the same cap. That's the cap that was on the mound when he got the final out against A-Rod in
Wow.
Game 7.
Yeah,
that was
of the
really, when you
ALCS
think-
that year. Yeah, he got, he
Right,
got
because-
yeah, he
right,
closed
because
that
when
game
you
out.
think-
Yeah,
Right, because when you think about it, that was really the World Series, that
Yeah.
7th game, right?
was.
I mean, you know, coming from behind 0-3. Anyway, so Mike traded a bunch of stuff to me. Like I got home run balls from that season. I got Mike's cleats that he wore the whole year. I have a game used jersey that he got after they lost the 3rd game against the Red Sox, 18-7. Mike got a jersey signed by the whole team, you know, which I own. He got 2 signed, one for him, one for me. Because of course they didn't know if they were going to be going home the next day or whatever.
Hold up the books. Can you hold up the books?
Oh, sure. So anyway, yeah, you can order the books. The Baseball Hall of Fame sells them. You can order them online from them. You can go to kevinkeatingbooks.com, whatever. But I have a lot more stories about Mike and that '04 team. You know, Mike asked me before the series started, before they went into the postseason, he said, you want anything from the playoffs? I said, I'll tell you what, can you get me a game ball from all your post games? You know, he goes, you mean like a ball that was used in each game? I said, yeah. He said, sure, I can do that. So I've got a straight run of game used balls. The 3 from the Angels, the 7 from the Yankees, and 4 from the World Series.
Oh, nice.
It's gotta be the only set of game balls from that postseason run. Anyway.
Wow. Kevin, Derek, question for you. How extensive is your personal collection?
I mean, well, first I want to disclose that I'm the only one on here without a book. So I know the fans are going to write in and they're going to ask me.
Yeah, but you
to get a
read
book.
books. You do read
I
books.
do read books. I like the pictures though. I like pictures, but I do read, War and Peace and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Significant books. But that being said, I might look into Mallory to help me write one someday.
I'm in.
I was saying,
Listen, I'm in. I'm in.
listen, all kidding aside, Derek, you mentioned, I was honest to God the other day when you and I were speaking, you were asking me questions about, you asked me extensive questions about books and book publishing and all that. And I was going to say to you, honest to God, you should work with Mallory. Honest to God. Because
No,
John,
who's gonna buy my freaking book? I mean, honestly, what am
I'll
what am
buy
I
it.
writing
I'll
it
buy
on?
it.
Kevin,
I've got one sold. I
we got
love
one.
Kevin Keating. This is why he's such
well,
a great-
my see,
love
Kevin,
Kevin Keating.
mine
I'll
would
buy
be
10.
mine would be complimentary. So
but
no,
But
Derek,
go ahead, what were you saying? My collection?
your personal collection.
Yeah. So my personal collection, I collected, and my first box was 1979 football. Was excited to open that up. Roger Staubach's my idol, from Western Pennsylvania. I was a rebel, so my mom's, I think, boyfriend at the time. My mom was divorced, was dating a guy that played the guitar actually, and he didn't turn out to be my stepdad, but he was obviously influential enough to tell me, hey, root for the guy with the star on his hat. And it turned out to be Roger Staubach. And what a guy to idolize, right, Kevin? I
Right.
mean, Roger Staubach, geez,
Yeah.
Captain America, Heisman
unbelievable.
Trophy winner, great, family values, right? After football was business empire, he's just
Yeah.
a great guy. But so unfortunately Jerry Jones bought the team and I've been dealing with that for the last 30 years. Got a couple Super Bowls out of them, 3, but other than that, so I collected then the 1980 Pirates, lemonade stands and running back down to the corner store to buy packs of 1980 and get all excited to get the We Are Family Pirates and build those team sets. And then I put away my cards until my friend one day said he wanted to buy them, and he took me to, and I wouldn't sell them to him, but he took me to a coin store, and not the one that I got thrown out of, one that I was asked to work for, Cambria Coin, Johnstown, PA. And it was like an oasis when that door opened on a Saturday. With the coin shop was open every day other than Sunday, but the card store in 1985 was only open on Saturdays, and it was an oasis when that door opened. And I walked through and I realized I could buy all these, Willie Stargell rookie or a Mickey Mantle or a Brooks Robinson card. I had no idea I could buy retired players on these cards other than just seeing them listed in Beckett. And from that moment on, dealer, working part-time in a shop, getting my own shop, traveling the tri-state area, as a dealer. So I started to build vintage sets. But I do see, so to fast forward, I did buy a lot of vintage cards and I put them away. My favorite players, Mays and Aaron, I always thought they had better had better stats than Mantle. So I would buy them. And Mantle was always more expensive. And
So
Clemente,
you do have a pretty extensive collection.
yeah, but it's mostly game worn stuff. It's not what you would think a baseball card expert would be known for, because, I'm not going to compete against my clients, and I don't have the money to compete against them to buy a Roberto Clemente and a 9. So Clemente, he's God in Western Pennsylvania. So he was always the guy you want to get, right? So he would be the baseball player that I have. I have all those cards and
Good.
I have signed cards, but game worn and memorabilia is because I see cards in my sleep, and that's what I process all day. I decided I'm going to collect memorabilia, so I'm pretty good at game worn jerseys, and I know a little bit about bats and Type 1 photos, and so that's what I collect.
All right, listen, I think we lost Mallory, a little internet
He
problem.
got bored this time.
Well, no, we're out of time anyway.
Oh, we
So
are.
when does the platinum auction end?
So it ends this Saturday and Sunday.
All right, and Kevin, how can people buy the book?
Go to Amazon or KevinKeatingBooks.com or the Baseball Hall of Fame.
And you folks heard it today for the first time. Derek Grady is going to be writing a book.
Oh, come on.
And partnering with John Mallory. I am so excited.
Maybe a kid's book, with lots
I
of.
can't wait. I can't. I'm holding my breath. I can't wait.
I think everybody is. Yeah.
All right, guys, listen, I can't thank you guys enough. It's been a pleasure. JM, on behalf of JM, because he probably had to run to the men's room.
Yeah,
On behalf of
quickly.
John, the show, you guys have been so important to the hobby. And I appreciate you guys being friends.
Hey, thank you. I think we both enjoy the hobby. It's been a blessing
With that
for
being
both of us to
said,
be in.
Kevin, thank you
Thank you,
so
guys.
much. Derek,
Thanks,
thank you
Dave.
so much. To our friends, followers, listeners, thanks for all the support and happy collecting.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.